This is Fred Allen speaking, and believe it or not, here is Louis XIV. We're at Versailles, just outside of Paris. Louis started to build this chateau about the same time the French began to do the minuet. Ever since the 17th century, this palace has seen empires rise and fall, monarchs come and go. And now its mirrors reflect still another change. It is 1919. World War I is over. The fountains play on. Descendants of the men and women who marched out from Paris in anger to grab Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette now rush out in joy to hail a 20th century peacemaker. The Big Four. Clemenceau of France. Lloyd George of England. Orlando of Italy. Wilson of the United States, the Puritan schoolmaster with his vision of tomorrow that has nothing to do with reparations and revenge desired by the old world diplomats. This man is an idealist who truly believes that to promote international cooperation and achieve international peace and security, he must guarantee the world remains safe for democracy. For Wilson, the heart of the peace treaty is in the covenant of the League of Nations, the covenant that would abolish war and settle disputes by law and reason. Through 6 long months of debate and intrigue and compromise, Woodrow Wilson has held stubbornly to his dream, and the covenant has been written into the treaty. But Versailles is only a beginning. Post-war Washington, peacetime America thinks it is over there. To men like Senators Bora of Idaho and Johnson of California, Wilson's League of Nations looks like just another foreign entanglement, another European trap laid for innocent Americans. They organized to kill it, and they have a powerful, resourceful leader, the gentleman from Massachusetts, Senator Henry Cabot Lodge. For Woodrow Wilson, or any idealist, there is always a long, long trail winding into the land of dreams. And if he be the president of a democracy, that trail leads back to the people. Back to the people Wilson goes. And with every fiber of his frail body, he pleads with them to believe that the affairs of America are linked to the affairs of men everywhere. See how the whole world turns with outstretched hands to this blessed country of ours and says, if you lead, we will follow. God helping us, we will lead. Dare we reject this treaty and break the heart of the world, cries Wilson? Yes, replied the disenchanted, apparently believing their vice president, Marshall, that what this country really needs is a good 5-cent cigar. The treaty, the League, Wilson are rejected, and the heart that breaks is Wilson's own. I don't recall whether the people got a good 5-cent cigar or not, but I do know they couldn't get a drink. Prohibition is here, and so is Warren Gamaliel Harding, elected president by a record majority on the slogan, back to normalcy. There is no such word as normalcy, but the people want it just the same. The Jazz Age starts from a standstill. America gropes for the road back from war and has a tough time finding it. Strikes and lockouts are routine from Boston to Seattle. Strikes against a 12-hour working day, against a 100% increase in the cost of living. Resentments, hatreds, unrelieved emotional tensions whipped up by the war do not evaporate with peace abroad. Now the doughboy must use his Springfield to maintain peace at home. The next 5 years will be a very trying time for the world. Civilization in its present form may be severely strained, predicted Britain's Lloyd George shortly after the armistice. And now hysteria too sweeps the United States. Make America safe for Americans. Why? Because there is a bloody revolution still raging raging in Russia, and a panicky fear of alien doctrines spreads throughout the land. All aliens are suspect, innocent and guilty alike. Raids, arrests, riots, civil liberties, soldier old men. The Republic is in danger, many seem to think. What to do? SOS, ship or shoot. Some are shot, and many are shipped. The Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, bigotry in bed sheets, the ignorant, the unbalanced, the venal completely pervert the motto, make America safe for Americans. And to this they add another. The Pope will sit in the White House when hell freezes over. Spawned by the Civil War, the Klan comes to life again in the wake of another war. Its symbols, the cross and the flag. Its weapons, intimidation and terror, intolerance and crime. From the Koran, the Klansman's secret hocus pocus, comes the ludicrous ceremony of initiation used at all conclaves. Are you a native-born white Gentile American? Will you faithfully strive for the eternal maintenance of white supremacy? To these and other questions, thousands swear to the affirmative, subjecting themselves to the rule of the imperial wizard who governs the invisible empire of the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. But behind this adolescent mumbo-jumbo lies the ugly reality. Negroes, Catholics, Jews, foreigners, persecute them all. Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. The invisible empire becomes bold enough, strong enough, 5 million strong, to make itself thoroughly visible. But the Klan is marching back into darkness, consumed by its own immorality, its own corruption. Main Street, any state, USA. Small town life is responsible for a lot in our time, good, bad, and indifferent, including Sinclair Lewis, who acidly observes, Main Street is the climax of civilization. That this car might stand in front of the Bon Ton store, Hannibal invaded Rome, and Erasmus wrote in Oxford cloister. But Main Street doesn't care. It has ideas of its own, expressed in the luncheon club poetry of the George Follansbee Babbitts. We're alive and coming, and we'll keep things humming. We're surely always on the go. And things are on the go. Along Main Street and everywhere else, the war has brought changes that make normalcy obsolete before it comes. Just as obsolete as its proponent Harding, whose death saves this naive man from facing the public exposure of his administration's staggering corruption. But that's one of those dreary things in life that Congress and the Department of Justice will just take care of. Right now, it's a toss-up whether Margie or mass production is Main Street's inspiration. Folks who don't even own a bathtub own a Model T, a Tin Lizzie. After all, you can't drive into town in a bathtub. Not far from Pennsylvania Avenue, not far from Main Street, is another street, Wall Street. The business of America is business, announces the new president, Calvin Coolidge, to which the people reply, keep cool with Coolidge. And the sound of the stock ticker begins to dispel the woes of those who were hurt by the post-war recession and those who lost their shirts in the Florida land boom and bust. As Will Rogers tells it, people wire in, buy me some stocks. The brokers answer, what time? And the buyer wires back, any kind. The Republicans are in. Ain't they all supposed to go up? Hallelujah, hallelujah, shoo the clouds away. Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't mean maybe. And my baby is plotting the darndest revolution in history. She's probably never heard of Lenin, but she knows her Freud. Her unsuspecting countrymen have given her the vote, and what she votes for is a new set of manners and morals. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. It won't be long now, announced the girls, as they head from the polling booth to the barber shop, disregarding the warning of an alarm press that the free and easy atmosphere that often prevails in the barber shop is unsuitable to the high standard of American womanhood. But what American women want is bobbed hair, a good short shingle, and never mind the atmosphere. The automobile with prohibition in force becomes a portable saloon and a four-wheel sofa for flaming youth who are determined to listen to their libido and only to their libido. Mother might have been a Gibson girl, but her collegiate daughter is an it girl with plenty of SA, sex appeal, a Sheba looking for a chic. The only sin left is being slow, old-fashioned. To simplify matters, now there is a single standard, and that a low one. The drink is gin, the music jazz, the dance the Charleston. Entry into a speakeasy national ritual. "No, I don't know you," says the bouncer. "Joe sent me," pleads the thirsty citizen. "Membership card? Money? Well, that's different. Come right on in and name your poison." This joint's the bee's knees and the cat's pajamas all rolled into one. Nobody knows how dry I am. Every sip of scotch, every swallow of gin is a violation of the law of the land. But happy scofflaws are sipping and swallowing from coast to coast. And between martinis, one of them sums up the tea-hound's attitude toward the 18th Amendment. Prohibition is an awful flop. We like it. It can't stop what it's meant to stop. We like it. It's left a trail of graft and slime. It's filled our land with vice and crime. It don't prohibit worth a dime. Nevertheless, we're for it. Ships can't bring in the stuff fast enough to quench the great American thirst. Alky cooking and hideaway booze factories turns out raw whiskey on a mass production basis. But the customer is always told it's just off the boat. Between hooch and beer, the profits of bootlegging run into real dollars, tens of millions. Like any other business, it's thoroughly and efficiently organized, but with some additional complications. Business rivals are out to kill you, and the occupational hazard is hijacking. Gun barrels and beer barrels are a highly compatible combination, and so profitable that the boys can't resist moving into other lines of work. Now all you have to do is pay tribute to the gangs, and if you don't, all the gangsters have to do is wreck your business. A simple, reasonable arrangement, unless you become too objectionable. In that case, a representative from Consolidated Rackets Incorporated pays a routine business call. Gang warfare. The gangsters turn against themselves. They slaughter each other. Murder becomes synonymous with Chicago, that toddling town. It's the day of Little Caesar, the underworld big shot, Jack Legs Diamond and Diane O'Banion, Johnny Torrio and Machine Gun Kelly. Sure, there's an arrest now and then, for appearance's sake, but the legal department of Rackets Unlimited specializes in what is technically known as putting in the fix and beating the rap. And all real gangsters do just that. Public enemy number one, they don't come any bigger than Alphonse Capone. From the nothingness of a small-time bouncer, Scarface Al has risen to control a crime and vice syndicate that grosses $100 million a year, deploys an army of 700 thugs and gunmen, and corrupts, dominates the city of Chicago. Render unto Caesar? Everyone does. But never fear. Mayor Big Bill Thompson is equal to the situation. If King George comes to Chicago, he tells his constituents, I'll crack him in the snoot. King George wisely stays home, but his son and heir, David, Prince of Wales, and England's most popular export, ignores the threats of Big Bill Thompson and sweeps America off its feet. Every debutante's mother holds these truths to be self-evident. All men may be created equal, but for a son-in-law, give me a prince any day in the week. Americans can take their choice, a prince or a queen. Royalty becomes as popular as mahjong and crossword puzzles. Queen Marie of Romania, sniffing the profits of ballyhoo from the faraway Balkans, arrives on the Leviathan for a command performance, complete with press agent, business manager, and a contract with a newspaper syndicate. But I'll tell the cockeyed world one thing this royalty has, that's charm and plenty of it. So much, in fact, that after the gals saw the Prince of Wales, they knew who had stolen their hearts away. And Queen Marie has the same effect on the boys. Who makes me dream all day? Well, you ought to guess who? No one but you. As Her Highness heads for Park Avenue and Main Street, rush of innocence abroad is on. So it's pack up all my cares and woe, here I go, singing low, bye-bye blackbird. On the Ile de France, the Mauritania, the Aquitania, the Majestic, 500,000 Americans a year head for the promised land. Some in search of something, others to escape from something, but most just for the fun of it. And why not? Hasn't President Coolidge said that everyone can regard the present with satisfaction and anticipate the future with optimism? And didn't Henry Ford say 90% of the American people are satisfied? But Will Rogers, well, according to Will, I think Mr. Ford is wrong. It's just got so that 90% of the people don't give a damn. Cherbourg or Le Havre, not everybody on the incoming ships can pronounce the names of these ports, but everybody knows that they are somewhere in France, and that after an experience on a funny little old boat train, they will end up in Paris. The intrepid explorers from South Bend and Sacramento are surprised to find that the natives are all foreigners, but this is offset by the fact that there are 25 francs worth of French money in every single dollar. Lafayette, we are back and raring to go. Paris, I am longing for you. So this is Paris, Paris in the 1920s. Everybody is here, including the most famous girl of the time, Lorelei Lee, the blondest of the blondes whom gentlemen are supposed to prefer. Lorelei doesn't know a word of French, but she doesn't need to. What would a Frenchman be doing in the Ritz? And the Ritz is divine. Our girl Lorelei Lee has about as deep an appreciation of the glories of Paris as anyone. As she says, when a girl walks around and reads all of the signs with all of the famous historical names, it really makes you hold your breath. Paris is divine. I mean, it really is divine. But Lorelei's keen sense of the advantages of foreign travel never lets her lose sight of the fact that kissing your hand may make you feel very, very good, but a diamond and a sapphire bracelet last forever. And the most exclusive Parisian jewelers and couturiers are kind enough to make the trip as educational and as rewarding as possible for Lorelei and her friends. Or as another philosopher of the day has put it, life is short and full of sadness, sighed the dizzy little ant. Life is long and full of gladness, cried the jolly elephant. And off they charged, the dizzy little ants and the jolly elephants, to Beaumont, to take in as much Parisian nightlife as they can hold. Who said Americans are not interested in foreign affairs? Main Street was never like this. There's Josephine Baker. But there is more than one Paris. There are many. While the average American takes a holiday from thinking, others in flight from the society of Messrs. Babbitt and Capone think harder than ever before, and some believe, as an artist, a man has no home but Paris. In Paris, Scott Fitzgerald, who spun the first great tales of the Jazz Age, writes of the pro-youth, pro-freedom, anti-Puritanism revolt, of flappers and bootleggers, of all the sad young men. You are all a lost generation, says Gertrude Stein of the young American expatriates, but Paris helps many find themselves. In Paris, Hemingway's sun also rises. In Paris, Glenway Westcott writes of his native Wisconsin. From the hurt of war and disillusion, provincialism and hypocrisy, Americans in all the arts find peace of sorts in the unhurried, unstandardized, unmechanized city on the Seine. From the vantage point of a Paris cafe, says Louis Bromfield, a writer can often see America more clearly. The wines of Provence and the music of the tango prove more nourishing than bathtub gin and the black bonnet. The intellectuals, the Lorelei Lees, average Americans abroad, never really take their eyes off the good old USA. May 1927, the eyes of the French, the eyes of the world, also turn to America. Charles Augustus Lindbergh will attempt what no man has ever dared. He will attempt to fly the Atlantic non-stop, New York to Paris, alone, all alone. Lindbergh and other pilots, some of them famous, are after a $25,000 prize offered by a hotel owner. But it is the young unknown stunt flyer, wing walker, male pilot who moves first. The man, a monoplane he calls the Spirit of St. Louis, the partnership Lindy calls We. The 4 sandwiches and 3 letters of introduction, We, alone, take off from soggy Roosevelt Field on this dismal morning, May 20th. The time, 7:52.